Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 24 career mode. This is part number 36 today for the Singapore Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous episode uploaded a couple of days ago at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. Obviously, we've had F1 Manager 24 come out recently, so we have shifted a bit of focus to that, but we are back today with an F1 24 career mode for you, and it's off the back of a very explosive episode at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It was the worst timing in the world to have a massive mistake in the castle section and have my own Leclerc I am stupid moment in that part of the circuit, because Aston Martin have upgraded to a point where they're pretty much matching us in terms of the R&D chart and performance, and Fernando Alonso wasted no time in dominating around Baku to make the most of it. We did make a stonking comeback to try and limit the damage as best we could, but it is as tight as it ever has been, and once again Fernando Alonso leads the Drivers' Championship. But as I said at the end of last episode, I think, this time he leads and you feel like it's a bit more threatening. It's, you know, at the start of the season, you don't know how things are going to shape up. You just think, oh, maybe he's just had a bit of luck at the start of the season. But now we know Alonso and Aston Martin are our main rivals for this Season 2 championship. They have the pace, they have the car, so Alonso leading feels a bit more significant this time, and he's had a great run of form. Second place, and first in the last 3 episodes. That's pretty big, and of course, it's been a bit of a rocky last 3 episodes, and it's a bit of a turbulent time in the team ever since the Canadian Grand Prix. You know, 2 team orders now since then. We've had flashpoints with our teammates, but we're going to have to try and work as a team to make the car better, at least when it comes to the R&D and purchasing the R&D. As it stands, Lando's focusing on an engine power upgrade, which we can afford to purchase. The other upgrades that are available to us, we can't afford to upgrade. And I'm thinking, if I buy that upgrade, that engine upgrade, that might leave Lando then to purchase a different upgrade that I can't afford, but maybe he can, because he does have higher recognition in the team, so he's gaining more R&D every week with the resources, and there's some upgrades that I can't even purchase because they're locked because of the recognition. So I'm going to go ahead and purchase, it's a minor engine upgrade that's going to cost us over 1,500 R&D points. That high inflation is really hitting hard. A minor upgrade over 1,500, that hurts my soul. But it works because we buy that engine upgrade, and I think immediately, I'm pretty sure Lando had not purchased that already. I think that he's done that in reaction. He's gone ahead and purchased an upgrade of his own, which is a rear downforce upgrade. Maybe not the upgrade I personally would have chosen, although to be fair, maybe he's onto something, because look at the performance chart. You know, zooming in on the aero alone, Aston Martin actually have a little bit of a gap to everyone in the aero department. It's quite close in the chassis department, and then we're actually superior on the engine side of things, which makes sense because we've seen Alonso's been very good out of corners, but on the straights with DRS and ERS as well, coupled into that, we're able to keep up with him. So that does kind of check out in terms of how the races have been feeling. But Elena choosing the absolute wrong time in the season to be telling me to step it up with my rating rivalry versus Pierre Gasly. Of course we're in a rivalry with Gasly, and of course Elena is badgering on about it. I don't care. I simply do not. He's in an Alpine. Our focus is on just one man, and it's the Spaniard in the Aston Martin. Thankfully, Aston Martin and ourselves, we both are plateauing. No upgrades into the next race, which is Singapore, of course. Mercedes do bring some upgrades, so they might be a bit more of a threat. Red Bull are up there as well, by the way. I didn't notice the entire time that Red Bull, because of the color shade of their R&D line, they're actually just right up there in the mixer. So there are 4 teams really close together. Small gap to Ferrari in no man's land, and then you've got the chasing pack, which is led now by Haas, who have been looking better in recent races. But for us, we've got to be thankful that Aston Martin haven't crossed over as the best team on paper, but like I said, they're pretty much there. We're level pegging. It's as close as it ever has been all season in terms of the R&D, which just makes things really intense as we go into the race weekend.
As night falls in Singapore, the track starts to warm up, and it'll be red hot by the time we find out who's on pole for tomorrow's race. Time to set the grid then. Welcome along to qualifying here in Singapore.
Oh, it's absolutely tipping it down here in Singapore. It's the monsoon climate. It's the monsoon rain. Look at that! Look at the amount of water falling from the sky. It's biblical. It's incredible. Jeez, this is going to be a session and a half. I think this might be the first time, actually, even on the game, by the way, that I think we've used the full wet tyres, because on F1 24, the inters work in so many different conditions, damp, you know, wet, slightly more wet, so that really even the full wets aren't very useful in heavy rain. But monsoon weather, absolutely, we need the higher amount of tread on the full wet tyres. But this is just another spanner in the works. You know, Baku, we had having that crash that obviously put us on the back foot in qualifying. Now we've got monsoon weather on Saturday here as a challenge before we even get to the race, and this could undo us if we're not careful, as our first flying lap isn't too great, but I just get on with the job and the grip starts coming towards us, the confidence starts flowing through us, and we're able to almost dance the car around, not too afraid to have the rear end step out into a few corners and gain the time we will as we go purple in the middle sector. You can see the rear end is stepping out so often, but we've got that confidence that the front end is going to pull the rest of the car towards where we need to go as we go across the line. And it's fastest of all, purple in the middle sector, purple in the last, and that's a bit more like it. And now we can breathe a sigh of relief. But people are going quicker, and all of a sudden we're actually 6/10 down from Max Verstappen at the top of the timesheet. So we have to go again. The track is getting quicker, and as we go out, you may notice immediately on the top left, people are on inters. Bottas in the kick Sauber has just gone quickest of all, but I'm still going pretty quick on the full wets. I've gained nearly half a second alone in the first couple of corners, so the track is getting quicker, but others are going even faster, it would seem, on inters. But I asked my team, I asked Mark, and he says, yeah, the inters seem faster. Well, why didn't you bloody recommend that tyre to me when I went out there? Usually it would tell you to switch on to inters. So McLaren dropping the ball yet again in this season as we gain 2 seconds on the wets at the end, but others went even quicker. And are we out? Oh my. We have got very lucky there. We're still in. P15, we're still in. But, wow, Logan Sargent, well, very could have affected this entire championship in his Alpine and knocked us out. Look at Verstappen and Piastri. Verstappen especially, when I went out for my last flying lap, Verstappen was top of the session, 6/10 ahead of me, and he ended up being knocked out in the Red Bull. Incredible. That is very lucky for us as we go into Q2, and I'm actually trying to drive around, finding the standing water, finding where the droplets are pelting down on the circuit, because there's a very dramatic racing line forming, and I don't know about you, it almost looked like it's a dry racing line, so I was trying to cool down the inters, because I didn't feel like there was too much grip on these intermediates. I did actually even think about coming in for dry, so I thought these inters don't feel correct. It feels very, very odd right now as we have a bit of a snap of oversteer across the line to go P2. We're over half a second slower than Fernando Alonso. We go on for our last final flying lap at the end of the session, but it is now actually dry. It looks dry, and I think it is dry. Others are still finishing their laps on intermediates and going quicker, but I just think I'm right at the back of the queue. I'm probably the last car on track doing a flying lap, and I think it's dry. You know, in terms of for my lap, others may have benefited a little bit from a wetter circuit. So I come in, and to be fair, look at the mini-map. Lando stayed in, Alonso stayed in, I think, and quite a few other cars have stayed in. So it's a very bemusing and confusing second session here in qualifying. Lando's knocked out. And we've got a very jumbled up top 10. We've got an Alpine of Gasly in there, the Visa Cash App RB of Ricciardo, Hulkenberg and the Haas as well. Alonso, of course, is there. So the two championship protagonists are through into the top 10 shootout, but we were 8/10 off Leclerc and still finished P4. So this has been a qualifying here at Singapore for the ages. You just cannot call what kind of lap time you're going to do, what others will do, what the actual cutoff time is. Like, Ted Kravitz would be losing his mind about not being able to calculate what the cutoff time is. We've had all the weather because we've gone from monsoon rain all the way to bone dry. Look at this. Madness, absolute madness. And you know, we got very lucky. The F1 gods looked down upon us and we got through Q1, and we're here now still fighting in Q3, so we can count ourselves very, very lucky, and we need to make the most of it now because we're here. And the first lap, it's okay. It's not great though. P4, I believe Alonso is provisionally on pole position. Of course, it is Singapore, so downforce matters. Aston will be good and Alonso's looking good, but we're 3/10 up now in the first sector, but we lose the back end and we lose all the time we gained. No, we were trying to stop it going into the wall, and in doing so, we've gone red in the middle sector, I believe that is, as we're negative. I think we just about go green again as we use a bit of battery, and we're able to break late into the final few corners in the last sector. Coming through the final bend, it's going to be just under 0.2 of a second gained. Where will that get us from P4 to P2? It would have been pole. It would have been pole though. It would have been bloody pole position if we hadn't made that mistake. And that's a mistake I could come to, you know, to regret, because you don't know. Singapore, you can overtake around here, but it is a street circuit, so you'd rather be on pole position. So will I come to regret not getting the pole as Alonso's there? It's heating up. Alonso is just looking better and better in these last 3 episodes as we go on. And it really is just me v him now at the front here. Others, they're there. They're a bit of background noise, but it is just me versus the elder statesman that is Fernando Alonso. It's going to be a very hot and intense one at Singapore tomorrow. No rain involved, just a dry race, which makes it even more intense. Let's go to the grid.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. Things have changed slightly around the Marina Bay circuit, with 4 corners removed between turns 16 and 19. It means the lap length is now just over 3 miles, and that might come as a welcome relief to the drivers, and more especially their brakes. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Fernando Alonso lines up on pole position and a McLaren alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Russell, Stroll, Perez, Sainz, Gasly, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Norris, Ocon, Tsunoda, Sargent, Bottas, Zhou, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Albon, and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And joining me in the commentary box today with the best view on what is about to unfold and some strong views on the action we're about to see, Naomi Schiff. Look, we know it's not where you start, it's where you finish, but let's talk about the start now. What's there to help the drivers get away well?
Well, the race is certainly not won in the first lap, let alone turn 1. However, what you can do is prepare yourself ahead of time. Visualize what could potentially happen, different scenarios and where you could place your car, and that will better prepare you to make the right decision with instinctive timing.
Well, we've had a couple of moments this season where myself and Alonso have directly crossed paths. I think the most recent one was the Belgian Grand Prix, but many times this season, it's been a strategic battle between myself and Alonso to jump the other one in strategy, in the calls we've made. But this now is maybe going to be a guaranteed wheel-to-wheel fight from the front row for the first time this season. Myself versus Fernando Alonso. Last episode felt like a real crucial one for the championship with that comeback drive that was absolutely needed. But this equally feels like a very important race as both us championship protagonists line up alongside each other at the very front of this grid. It was monsoon rain yesterday, but it is bone dry today here on Sunday in Singapore as we go to 5 red lights. And the Grand Prix is underway. Alonso Alonso gets an electric start. We've had a shocking one. Leclerc even is ahead of us. We dive it back down the inside and we desperately cling on to second place, but that was not the ideal getaway, and now we're all already immediately engaged in the chase of Fernando Alonso, and this man eluded us the entire Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He dominated around there. It's a very different circuit, but remember, Aston Martin have the best aero on the grid, so that could play a factor, but right now we are doing well in these early stages of the race to keep up with Alonso. In fact, we're pulling away from Leclerc. We've broken DRS, so it really just is me versus the Aston Martin, and we are practically pushing Alonso through some of those corners. So maybe right now, whilst the tyre wear is there, we've got an advantage as we have DRS open. We go to the left. Alonso gives us no room to work with, and to be honest, that maybe was the wrong call to make, as Alonso now comes across the racing line and defends well through the next couple of corners. But I think in hindsight, that was the wrong choice to go to the left, because Alonso was already veering to that side of the, well, not straight, but the kink with DRS available there. We check for damage. There is none, thankfully, but that is maybe 1-0 to Alonso in terms of he simply just chose the right place to park the car, and he's showing his experience, and that was me showing my inexperience of just not knowing when to back out of it as the space was closing. But there might be some space opening up as we go on to lap 3. Alonso with a purple, but we've got the overspeed with DRS. It's a late dive bomb. Lock up on the front left. Alonso keeps it side by side, keeps his foot in, but look at this. The wily old fox, he's on purpose made sure that he didn't overtake us or was not side by side with us at the DRS detection point. So as we go on down this section, he's got DRS. He's first place and he has DRS open. I can't match that. Leclerc is on the inside now. The Ferrari is trying to annoy us and get involved in this fight with our championship rival. But, that was just so clever. You even heard Alonso pretty much keep his revs as he didn't change gear or just let off to make sure he didn't get ahead or alongside us to guarantee himself the DRS. But lap 4, we've learned from the mistakes. We got DRS. We go to the outside, and this time we will get the overtake. And after so much of an intense battle, that was actually quite a simple overtake, but that, you know, we had to put everything together, make sure we're behind, make sure we have enough battery, and make sure we choose the right side of the circuit to make the overtake. Now, as we go on through the next lap or so, we're trying our best to keep Alonso at bay. I'm trying to pull away and save battery for this straight, because I thought we could maybe stretch our legs, knowing that we have a better engine than Aston Martin in the R&D chart, but we're making a little bit of a howler of the curbs, and mistakes like that are not going to help our case, although it looks like Alonso may have also lost a bit of time himself, but he may just be biding his time and using his experience, as I've said before, to just, you know, hang back and save the tyres, because 5 laps later, he's setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix now, and he's looking as quick as ever, and I am losing the back end and starting to soar away at the steering wheel. Look at the tyre wear there. The right-hand side of the car is so worn out, and that's obviously going to cause a balance issue, because my right-hand side is more worn than my left, and that is not going to be great midway through corners, through apexes, and Alonso is DRS open. We block the inside, but he goes to the outside, and he's gone round the long way, and we're still having to go opposite lock to drift the car through the corners because our tyres are absolutely shot. Alonso's done well to keep his in check, and that's probably, you know, he probably just stayed in second place on purpose the entire stint to make sure his tyres are okay. Look at the acceleration this guy's got as we just close the door. But I think what you saw there was a combination of Alonso saving the tyres. The Aston's good off the corners anyway, we know, with the downforce they've got, and we are just hanging on as our tyres are equally just as bad in the opposite direction, as again Alonso now with DRS down this small straight. It's not usually a place you see many overtakes, but Alonso has barged his way through. Bit of contact made for the first time in the season, as it maybe gets a little bit too close for comfort between myself and Alonso. We dive back down the inside, we return the favour and barge back past the Spaniard, but we're going to immediately call it and come in for the pit stop. Well, our tyres are gone. Our tyres are absolutely gone. We should have looked after them more. Alonso has, and he's reaping the benefits, but hopefully this undercut can work for us. It is going to be a 2-stop here, by the way, with the tyre wear this season, so that'll be quite interesting. Oh, no! No! Slow pit stop. That left front tyre took an age to get off. Oh, McLaren! What are we doing? 4.7 pit stop. Just add that to the list of things that are going wrong with the team here, with the car, the operation of the team. Ah, okay, well. Oh, that's devastating. We're behind Perez. He wasn't even third. He was fourth, wasn't he? As we go through on lap 13 now, and we've got ahead of Leclerc because we've actually undercut the Ferrari to re-overtake the Ferrari, basically, with the undercut. But we're behind Perez, and Alonso, there he is in the distance. He's down the road, 1.7 seconds ahead of us, out of DRS range. We are going to go for the move on Perez, and it's going to be a pretty aggressive swoop through that left-hander, because I've only got one thing on my mind, and it's to start chasing down this man, Fernando Alonso. But McLaren, what are we doing in a race where it's clearly nip and tuck, nothing to separate me and Alonso? We can't be making a mistake like that. That could lose us the entire race. You just never know. As Stroll leads, just showing the Aston Martin as a car is genuinely very good. He's not pit yet, but he's ahead of Russell, ahead of Sainz, ahead of Norris. Lando's had a very quiet episode today, really nowhere in terms of pace, just really showing how good of a job we are maybe doing in the car to be up there, as Verstappen is still stuck behind traffic, having been knocked out, remember, in Q1 in that monsoon rain qualifying. But now lots of people making pit stops, and we focus back on Alonso and our chase down. We're 1.4 behind him, but we're getting our head down, we're setting purple laps, and we're absolutely blitzing it through the final corner as we launch ourselves towards Alonso. We have a little look, but we didn't fancy the full dive into turn 1 because we're going to be patient and set up an overtake on the main DRS straight coming up. Alonso into first now. We're into second. Everyone has made their first of 2 pit stops today as the rear wing opens up. DRS activated. The battery deploying. Alonso again defensive to the inside. We go to the outside. That's fine. We like the long way round. It worked for us previously, but Alonso this time is really, really keen to keep first place, and he does so well. He's managed to keep it side by side. We just nip ahead, but Alonso that time, he made contact with us even. There's a warning for collision, and you just get the sense now in this second stint that Alonso's maybe not too focused on saving the tyres, and he just really wants to keep track position as he goes for the kamikaze dive. Fernando Alonso! Oh my word! What a move that is for the Spaniard. He's got DRS for better measure. I can't... He's actually trouncing us right now. He's absolutely done us there at the hairpin. DRS open, but we'll come back at him. Lots of battery use. We're nearly down to single digits. We went from right to left, and that was almost a disaster. I think we were pixels away from getting that completely miscalculated, going from right to left, and we almost just smashed straight into Alonso's rear end. That would have been curtains, but instead we're now still going at it neck and neck. Alonso had the DRS on the main straight, and it seems like this time he's not tried to play any funny games, and actually we have decided to be the chess master at this part of the circuit. Make sure we were behind the detection point for DRS. Alonso again defends the inside. We get very close to touching tyres. We go round the outside, but we're sliding immediately into that corner. As soon as I turned in, the rear end was stepping out, and we basically drift through the corner, and Alonso just walks on by and retakes first place. But, we're losing tyre grip now again at the end of this medium tyre stint, just like we did in the first stint. And you may have also noticed into turn 1 there, the reason even Alonso Alonso was able to go back around for the move at turn 1 was I didn't have a lot of battery. I'm overusing my battery to stay in the fight with Alonso, and it's hurting us. We need to do a little bit of management maybe whilst keeping up with him. You know, maybe just not using the battery too much in the DRS zones for a lap or two just to try and get the battery back. But it's also so tempting to go for these moves. But we are gonna, you see there, we could have gone for a move, but we made sure we just stuck behind. Same thing here, lap 18. We maybe could have overused the battery and gone for a move, but we're now, you know, re-engaging our brain a little bit. You know, we're not letting the kind of the fog of the battle get in our way, getting in front of our eyes, and we're thinking a bit more about the race strategically, saving the battery. So here we are then, we put ourselves into a much better position on lap 19. We've got a good amount of battery. We're here in second. We're 3/10 away. We can make the move here again as we open DRS. The battery now does get some use. Alonso this time leaves the door open. He's squeezing us. Alonso with a bit of contact. He's off circuit, wasn't he? As that was again a very close call, but still it is staying respectful between myself and Alonso. This is right on the limit, and you'd expect someone with his caliber to be able to really flirt with that line of being just on the edge of acceptable in making some of these moves, trying to defend. As he, you know, we got to the inside, we absolutely caught him napping, and then he actually moved to squeeze us into the curb on the inside. This time I think we'll maybe not try the inside line, let's try the outside, but we are a little bit further back. We've also got not as much battery as last time, but can we still go for the move? Alonso parks it in the middle. We're on the outside, but we actually turn in earlier to try and get a better exit. Alonso brakes very early there. Ay, ay, ay. We are inches away once again from making contact, and now our rear end stepping out as the tyre wear kicks in. It is getting very close for comfort. Very, very close for comfort. And it may go like this all the way to the end. 6 laps to go!
We're looking at some imminent gearbox issues, I'm afraid. Watch out for jams and misgears.
After all of that, it was such a good race. It was such a good battle with Alonso. And the car's given up. The gearbox is gone. The car's gone. And maybe our championship hopes are gone. And McLaren, I'm going to be gone. Oh, you. Melons. You absolute melons. I can't believe it. Really? This was literally the worst timed mechanical failure in the history of mechanical failures. I'm not even angry. I'm just upset. I'm just downbeat now. Oh, my God. That's big, man. That's big.
It's happy days for the Fonz. A winner today, Fernando Alonso.
Well, that's 2 wins in a row for them now. That's really going to help them gain confidence and start to build that momentum that they're really going to be looking for.
With only a handful of races to go, Alonso is 30 points. 30 points ahead of us in the Drivers' Championship. That... And he's got a quick car. It's not like we've got a great car that we know we can dominate a few races. He could well win another one of these races. He's won 2 in a row now. He's on 2-2-1-1 is his form. I'm very despondent and worried now. I am very concerned that just might be championship over. Oh my, and we've lost the quote-unquote championship points rivalry. But maybe this is foreshadowing. Maybe this, sure, please don't let this be a foreshadow for what's to come, please. Oh my days. This season has just taken a massive twist. And now the last couple of episodes of this season 2 have turned into a huge uphill battle and challenge. For those of you who thought, oh, it's looking quite easy at the start of season 2, well, you've been completely undone. You're completely wrong. We're up against it. We're up against the man who's got a car just as quick as us. He's just won 2 races, and we are 30 points behind with only a handful of races to go. We are up against it. We need miracles to happen, I feel, in the next few episodes. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Be sure to get subscribed to see how the championship turns out in the next few episodes. Till then, goodbye.